How sex drives evolution. It cannot be supposed, for instance, that male birds of paradise or peacocks should take such pains in erecting, spreading, and vibrating their beautiful plumes before the females for no purpose. We wanted to start off with this quote because it does a great job at introducing the topic of this chapter. Everything in science, not only in evolution, happens for a reason. There's always a purpose for everything. The color of feathers on certain animals, the certain noises different animals make, are all for a purpose. And this chapter dives into what that purpose is. Peacocks seem to violate every aspect of Darwinism because the traits that make the peacock beautiful are at the same time maladaptive for survival. Now, remember that maladaptive means not providing adequate or appropriate adjustment to the environment or situation. The peacock's long tail causes many problems with flight, eventually leading to a struggle to become airborne and hard to escape predators. Its sparkling colors also attract predators compared to the female feathers, which are short-tailed and camouflaged a dab greenish-brown. Looking at all these things, one would think the peacock's plumage is an impediment. So how could this possibly be an adaptation? Also, if these were to make offspring and pass on their genes, how come females look so different? The peacock's tail was such an enigma that Charles Darwin said that it made him sick just looking at a feather. Similar to the peacock's strange situation are the male bowerbirds. These birds build large bowers out of sticks that can be shaped like tunnels, mushrooms, or tents. The bowers are beautifully decorated and take hours and sometimes days to build, but aren't even used as nests. So why go through all this trouble for nothing? Well, as you'll see in the next slides, this trouble really isn't any trouble at all and is actually necessary. The male and female bowerbirds and male and female peacocks are a few of the many examples of what are called sexual dimorphisms. Sexual dimorphisms are traits that differ between males and females of a species, coming from the Greek for two forms. Biologists have found that sexually dimorphic traits in males seem to violate evolutionary theory because of the fact that they waste time and energy and reduce survival. Selection is most likely responsible for these traits, or at least it should be, but how? We have to remember that the currency of selection isn't really survival, but successful reproduction. For example, having a fancy tail or a seductive song doesn't help you survive, but may increase your chances of having offspring, and that's how these traits came about. Darwin first recognized this trade-off and coined the name for the type of selection responsible for sexually dimorphic features as sexual selection. What is sexual selection? It's simply selection that increases an individual's chance of getting a mate. It operates in a unique way and produces seemingly non-adaptive adaptations. Sexually selected traits evolve if they do more than offset the male's diminished survival with an increase in his reproduction. For example, maybe widow birds with longer tails don't evade predators as well as ones with shorter tails, but females might prefer the longer-tailed males as mates. There are two forms of sexual selection. The first, direct competition between males for access to females. When males of a species battle it out directly, they win access to females by driving off competitors. Selection favors any trait that promotes such victories so long as, again, the chance of getting mates more than offsets any reduced survival. This type of sexual selection produces armaments, which could be stronger weapons, larger body size, or anything that helps a male win physical contests. The second type of sexual selection is female choosiness among possible mates. This selection produces the widow bird's long tail. Bright colors, ornaments, bowers, and mating displays are molded by this type of sexual selection. To females, not all males are the same. They find some males more attractive, so genes that produce those certain favorable features by the female accumulate in populations. Here, There's also an element of competition between males, but it's indirect in a way where winning males have the loudest voices, brightest colors, or the sexiest displays. The winner is ultimately decided by the females. In both types of selection, males compete for females. Northern elephant seals of North America's Pacific coasts show extreme sexual dimorphism for size and are polygynous, which means that males mate with more than one female during the breeding season. About a third of the males get to mate with certain groups of females whom they guard, and the other males then become single. Who gets to mate and who doesn't is determined by contests between the males before the females even get to the beach. This is male competition, and the prize is reproduction.